Hey guys, welcome back. Sports Gaming Rosters here. I know I haven't had many videos lately. I've been busy with a lot of other things and just kind of burnt out a little bit. But the Combine came and went, and I think this is a good time to kind of do a 2022 draft class update. Call it version 3.5. I'm not making a ton of edits, rating edits, updating the heights and weights and some of the numbers. Some of the Combine numbers I'm going to factor into the ratings here. And this video right here is all the first round prospects, kind of like a mock draft type thing, the first 32 players. So check it out, and I will have a full class out in a couple days, and I'll post a video about that. So enjoy this video. Thank you. All right, pick one. I have Jacksonville going with Aiden Hutchinson. It's either Hutchinson or Neal for me right now. Hutchinson came off a really good combine performance. Couple that with his production and his character and everything else, he's the top of my list right now. So Jacksonville needs everything. I don't think they should really reach for need. They could re-sign Cam Robinson if they need to. I just think Hutchinson's a better prospect and something that Jacksonville really needs. So NFL.com Combine Report, I'm going to read the overview for you guys just so you can hear a little bit about what experts have to say about him. All right, compared to Kyle Vanden Bosch, if you remember him from the mid to late 2000s, a pretty good pass rusher for a little while, good run defender. So overview, defensive end prospect with a can't-miss combination of football character, skill, and physical traits who is more likely to contend for occasional Pro Bowls than become an all-pro playmaker. Hutchinson's strength and flexion allows him to drop a deep anchor and set a very firm edge, and that is unlikely to change as a pro, whether he is used in a 4-3 or 3-4 fronts. He can be too mechanical, engaging in cursory contact rather than using his hands to whip the man in front of him quickly. Hutchinson is an instinctive rusher, assailing the pocket with a non-stop barrage of activity. His hands are skilled and excellent to grease the edge, while fluid countersteps open inside paths to the pocket. He needs to add a few more items to his rush menu in order to maintain his rush production against NFL tackles. Hutchinson is scheme versatile and should be a very good starter with a very high floor, but his ceiling might not be as elevated as some of the talent he's been compared to. So that makes sense. This draft is definitely not high on top end talent. There's not a superstar here. He's just one of those guys like you see every 5 years or so, a draft where there's just not a amazing quarterback. There's not an amazing pass rusher. So solid, definite long-time starter. I think he'll be a good pick for Jacksonville. So the Lions go with Kyle Hamilton, second overall. I don't think there's ever been a safety drafted this high. I think Eric Turner for the Browns way back in the day was drafted in the top 5. I've never seen a safety prospect quite like Hamilton. He's my favorite player in this class, pound for pound. He's one of the guys I think that can really be a superstar. NFL.com compares him to Cam Chancellor. You remember him from the Legion of Boom. Let me read about him for you guys. High impact safety with a unique blend of traits and characteristics that make him a bit of a unicorn at the position. Hamilton has the eyes and speed to play over the top, the strength and toughness to play near the line, and coverage lengths to guard elite pass-catching tight ends who often mismatch opposing defenses. It's rare to find such a ferocious striker and intimidator who has the football intelligence and athletic prowess to go make plays in the passing game, but Hamilton provides it all. He thrives playing downhill or sinking into a robber alignment on the back end, but will have occasional missteps in coverage when in retreat from his pedal. Hamilton has the traits and football character to transition from standout college moments to standout pro career as a future Pro Bowler with all-pro potential. So just what the Lions need, right? Just a stud defender, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if the Jaguars just said screw it and took him first overall. It would be really crazy to have a safety drafted that high, but Hamilton's the best player in this class, I think, and he's going to be a stud wherever he goes. Pick 3, Houston goes with Evan Neal, who I think the top 3 in this class is definitely Hutchinson, Hamilton, and Neal in whatever order you want to put them in. So they can just sit back and draft whatever player the other two don't, because they are another team that needs absolutely everything. Kind of crazy that they traded their future for Laramie Tunsil, and he's now kind of an overpaid, not that great, injury-prone guy that they are probably going to look to trade, not get anything near what they gave up to Miami to get him. But Neal, compared to Jordan Mailata, who was a 7th round pick for the Eagles and has worked his way into a really good starting offensive lineman. So this is what NFL.com has to say about him. Three-year starter with a rare combination of measurables, talent, and pedigree. Neal has experience against the best competition in the college game has to offer. He has started at both left and right tackle and should project on the left side if he can continue to manage his weight. While he has flashes of greatness on tape, he doesn't always maintain that level throughout a game. Intensity and consistency are two areas that will be key in matching performance with profile. Technique has been drilled into him, and Neal plays with good fundamentals across the board. He's well versed and capable in a variety of run schemes and has correctable areas of improvement in pass protection. Neal will come into the league as a good NFL starter, but greatness will require additional attitude and action. So basically, like every other offensive lineman to ever enter the NFL, it's a tough position to learn, but I really like his talent. Jets are going to go with Sauce Gardner here from Cincinnati. Might be the highest you will see him mocked right now, but I think he's definitely the cornerback one in this class, and you know how cornerbacks go high. The Jets have 2 first-round picks, and their secondary might be the worst in the league, so quote-unquote reach right here I think makes a lot of sense. NFL compares him to Richard Sherman. Lofty expectations, obviously, but he's got the size and the length to really be that kind of guy if it all comes together. Overview. Long, lean, and linear, Gardner's physical and football growth are on full display when comparing his 2019 tape to 2021. He's highly competitive with a confidence level that will be labeled as cocky by some evaluators. Sauce uses length and hand activity to impose his will on the release and stall the route on the tarmac. Staying connected to the route is a priority, which leads to grabbing when he feels it slipping away, but that can be corrected by improving his footwork and trusting his technique. His movements lack fluidity, but he's urgent and aggravating in man-to-man, which could become a deterrent for NFL quarterbacks scanning to his side of the field, if he can avoid a big spike in penalties as he adjusts to NFL officiating. Gardner has the traits and demeanor to become a highly effective CB1 within his first couple of seasons. So may not have the pure talent of Derek Stingley, but he's got quite a bit of talent in his own right, and the game and swagger and skills to really back it up. The Giants have the 5th and 7th pick, and they go with Kayvon Thibodeau here. He's been kind of beaten up during the draft process for his, maybe a lack of intensity or maybe a lack of strength, this and that. But it's nitpicking season, and this draft isn't the most talented, so I definitely can't see him falling past the Giants twice. So I think number 7, the 7th pick, is the absolute floor for Thibodeau. Compared to Brian Arakpo, the former Titan and Washington outside linebacker / defensive end, this is what they have to say about him. Enticing edge rusher whose game is fueled by traits and power over skill and instinct at this juncture of his career. Thibodeau is hardly a finished product, but has pro-ready attributes that should help him acclimate quickly. He's a plus run defender who punches above his weight at the point of attack with heavy hands and a sturdy base. He has some suddenness in tight quarters and above average pursuit speed, which should keep the tackles for loss rolling in throughout his career. Thibodeau rushes with effort, upfield burst, and play-through power that should bring reasonable sack pressure production. However, he needs to add some go-to moves and more skilled hands to his bag if he is to affect the quarterback more frequently and reach his lofty potential as a standout two-way edge defender. So a lot of talent to be a really good overall defensive player. The Panthers definitely need a quarterback, and I think Malik Willis has worked his way into the top 1 in this class. Definitely underwhelming class, but Willis, as you know, has aced the non-on-the-field portion of the combine. He didn't do anything on the field, but you saw the viral video of him helping the guy. You've heard all the amazing interviews he's had. So he's worked his way up, I think, to the top quarterback, especially with Kenny Pickett's, Jack Kelly from Always Sunny in Philadelphia sized hands being the story of the combine. Malik Willis, NFL compares him to Jay Cutler, arm strength, Jalen Hurts build play style. And they have this to say about him. Upside quarterback with special parts of his game, but with no guarantee that they will be assembled properly into a finished product. Willis uses his rare combination of elite rushing talent and a rocket-launching right arm to unlock explosive plays in 2 different ways. He has the arm to beat safeties to the deepest parts of the field and makes impressive throws from inside and outside the pocket. On the flip side, Willis's mechanical and operational inconsistencies lead to erratic timing and accuracy, and he doesn't throw with enough touch. Protection and receiver separation were both issues, but Willis also pressed over the second half of the season and never looked comfortable in the Liberty offense. On the pro level, additional film work and a layered pro-style passing attack could allow for more focused reads and help him see the field faster and more clearly from the pocket. Play callers must lean into a special talent as a runner and include called runs into the game plan. Even if Willis fails to reach his passing potential, running ability doesn't slump, and he has the talent to produce on the ground at a level between Jalen Hurts and Lamar Jackson. So, pick 6 in a bad draft for a team that desperately needs a quarterback, and go for it. Alright, the Giants go with Charles Cross. They definitely need an offensive lineman. I rank Cross a little higher than Ekwonu. I might be the only one who does that because I don't know if Icky can be a full-time offensive tackle. He's definitely like a guard to me. But either way, the Giants will be happy with either guy, I think. A lot of people have talked about Mike Leach's offense when it comes to Charles Cross, but he was a high recruit, and I think his talent outranks the system that he played in. NFL.com has him related to Taylor Moton, physical, and Tristan Wirfs in the style of play. That's a good competition. Wirfs is already one of the best offensive linemen in the NFL. So, 2-year starter who plays with a high level of consistency from game to game, no matter the opponent. Cross is an average athlete, but he's strong, plays to his length, and has sticky, strong hands. Despite limited starting experience, he's well schooled and knows how to play. He has average slide range, so edge rockets are going to beat him to the top of the rush at times, but he does a nice job of utilizing length and footwork to recover when beaten. He plays with strong inside hands and a broad, powerful core. He's an ace at neutralizing power rushers and is above average in sustain and finish modes as a drive blocker. Cross's play strength, hand placement, and body control should allow for a relatively smooth transition into the league, where he can become a good long-time starter at either tackle position. So this draft, like I've mentioned before, is not high on high-end talent. So if you can get a solid 10-year starter at offensive tackle in the top 10, I think that would be a very good get for the Giants. The Falcons need defense. Or if they want to try to draft a quarterback to groom behind Matt Ryan. But I don't know. The NFC South is definitely winnable next year with Tom Brady retiring and nothing else really quarterback-wise in the division. So the Falcons might just want to go one last Hail Mary before they really have to rebuild. So I have them going with David Ojabo here, compared to Cliff Averill, pass rushing specialist from not too long ago. Emerging edge defender who should see a substantial leap in play consistency with more time to work on his technique and learn the game. The upside is evident despite his inexperience. At times, the run tape can be a rough study, but it improved as the 2021 season progressed. Ojabo's rush approach is fairly sophisticated with the feet and agility to juke, stutter, spin, and race his way past offensive tackles. He's not ready to take on pro run blockers, but Ojabo is in the early stages of his physical and play development. It will be wise for evaluators to project and grade the flashes as a high upside rush talent with 4.3 and 3.4 appeal. I really like Ike Ekwonu's game. I don't know if he's an offensive tackle, and I've seen mocks that have had him drafted number 1 overall, and that's just insane to me. But I would plug him in at guard, and he would be an upper echelon type offensive guard. His run blocking is really good. The Broncos have Garrett Bowles, who has kind of resurrected his career and become a good offensive lineman, but not much else. So they could play him at guard or at tackle. So compared to Kalishi Osemele, who you remember him from 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, offensive guard. A gentleman in class and a killer on the grass, Ekwonu goes from amiable to angry once he steps foot on the field. He's a long-lived athlete and scheme-diverse run blocker with the potential to win with positioning or force. He has a highlight reel full of violent strikes and finishes, but needs to cut his aggression with a little more control. The pass protection has seen rough patches over the last 2 years that might continue until his hands and feet start working in unison. Punch timing and independent hands should bring immediate improvement, but getting him to play with better focus and control in his pass sets will take time. The football character and urgent field demeanor make it easier to grade the traits and anticipate him landing closer to his ceiling than his floor as either a guard or a tackle. So that sounds like a big time project, but a guy who can be a complete terror in the run game. The Jets go with Travon Walker here. So Walker, Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, they all had amazing combine performances, which is not really a surprise considering how good Georgia's defense was. Those are all 3 linemen who are definite first-round locks right now, with Walker probably leading the way. Compared to Chris Wormley, I think NFL.com is pretty low on him. He's ranked like 7th or 8th for defensive ends, but I got him a lot higher than that, obviously. He's in my top 10. So, overview. Walker is a big, rugged run stopper with the playing style and body type to play 3-4 end. He consistently outreaches blockers and takes control at the point of attack and sets firm edges despite playing with limited knee bend. He plays with violent hands, sluggish feet, and all-day aggressiveness. He has quick shed ability to make plays near his gaps, but lacks lateral quickness to play with a desired range. He won't be considered a skilled or threatening rusher from any alignment, but can plow his way forward to find occasional success. He's effective against the run, but is likely to be a one-way player who comes off the field on passing downs. I don't know. I think that was before he ran a 451-yard dash and tore everything else up. I think they'll update that pretty soon. He's a definite top 20 pick. Small hands, man. How much is that going to matter? We're about to find out. So his hands were as small as advertised, and that's all anybody talked about when it comes to Kenny Pickett. But the Commanders, they just need a quarterback so bad. If they can't get anybody in free agency and anybody in trade, they've got to just draft somebody here and just cross their fingers and hope for the best. He's been compared to Andy Dalton. They have it in parentheses in prime years, so I guess the decent Andy Dalton and not the completely abysmal Andy Dalton of these days. All right. Pickett has 5 years of game experience and 4 years of starting experience for Pitt. He's a fairly toolsy pocket passer with good mobility. He operated in a passing scheme featuring vertical concepts that created big play opportunities, but left food on the plate when he failed to play chess against the back end of the coverage. Pickett works with average anticipation but drives the ball with good velocity, which should help him shine in pre-draft passing drills. Pickett's touch and placement need work, but his accuracy stats were damaged by an inordinate amount of drops throughout his career. The top indicator for future success or failure will likely rest in the team's ability to build Pickett's trust, poise, and discipline from the pocket. He can make all the throws, but he'll only be able to execute against disguised fronts and NFL pressure if he's willing to hang in and win with his eyes first. He carries a boom-bust label, but the 2021 tape and productivity showed off his potential to become a good starter in time. Yeah, so I don't ever see a Pro Bowler here, but he's a bit of a one-year wonder, but if everything clicks, the Commanders can at least have themselves a quality starting quarterback, which is something they've lacked forever. The Vikings, I think, have taken 4 cornerbacks in the first round the past half decade or more, and that's still the weakest position on the field for them, so they need to just try again until they can get it right. Derek Stingley, after his freshman season, he might have been the best cornerback prospect I've seen in a long time. The past 2 years, he's either been pretty bad or injured or both, but the talent's still there, and I can't see him falling too far, especially with so many teams that need cornerback help, none more so than the Vikings. NFL.com has him compared to Stephon Gilmore. Lofty praise right there, but pure talent, I can see the comparison. All right, overview. Uniquely gifted cornerback with a rare blend of size, speed, and explosiveness that will always have teams willing to judge his upside off of tape from 2 seasons ago. Stingley played in just 10 games over the last 2 years, offering flashes of his upside rather than sustained play. Regardless of season, he's long, loose, and extremely athletic. Elite speed and ball skills give him a chance to thrive as a bump-and-run corner capable of shadowing top talent around the field. He allows some separation from off-man, but bursts to close distance instantly. He's well suited for a variety of zone coverage, but needs to play with much better zeal and toughness in run support. Stingley will likely measure and test like Marshawn Lattimore, Patrick Peterson, and Antonio Cromartie, depending on his weight. But he needs to find that breakthrough 2019 form in order to reach his potential as a lockdown cover talent. So yeah, all the talent in the world, but we'll have to see if he can rebound and become like he was during his freshman season. The Browns have 2 distinct needs, wide receiver and defensive line. So I just went with the best player available out of those 2 positions, and that's Garrett Wilson, who has been my wide receiver 1 throughout most of this process. Quick, small, NFL.com for some reason doesn't have a comparison for him, even though I think he's been the top guy this entire year. So overview. Wilson's game is lacking in polish, but some scouts believe his play strength and run after the catch ability make him a more valuable draft commodity than Ohio State teammate Chris Olave. He's a linear inside-outside receiver with trouble eluding press cleanly and is very inefficient with routes over the first 2 levels. His long speed is good, but the acceleration burst is what makes him such an effective separator in space. He might not be smooth getting there, but he has eye-popping ball skills when it's time to go make a play. Wilson needs to work on his ability to consistently uncover on all 3 levels, but he has the traits to become a very good wide receiver 2 if he tightens up his areas of concern. So that analysis wasn't great. I guess I'm higher on him than NFL.com, but who's the real expert, huh? Baltimore needs defensive line help bad, And Jordan Davis may have had the second best combine performance of all time after Megatron Calvin Johnson. He just ran a 4.78, which is some running backs, some receivers, some tight ends run that, and this guy is only 341 freaking pounds. That's just unfair. They make him different down there in Georgia these days. So Baltimore and any other team would probably love to have this guy. I think he's definitely working his way into the top 15. So you can't ignore those numbers. He's a stud. NFL.com compares him to Ted Washington, the old school player back in the day. I definitely think his overview is going to be a little outdated, considering he just killed the combine. Overview: beefy, mountainous nose tackle with the size, power, and will to clog the drain and alter the offense's desire to run between the tackles. Davis has anchor and quick shed talent to eviscerate single blocks and successfully occupy double teams, allowing linebackers to thrive in pursuit of ball carriers. He plays upright, lacking agility and relative quickness to mark up a stat sheet with any consistency, but that's not what he's asked to do. Davis won't be as effective against outside zone teams and won't offer much rush, but he could become one of the league's best run pluggers as soon as he takes the field. I think he can play end or tackle in Baltimore's 3-4 scheme. Alodi Gata, remember him from back in the day. He was about the same size and about the same athletic ability. So there we go. I can't wait to see how Jordan Davis translates this combine into his NFL career. The Eagles have 3 first-round picks coming up, and I think they're going to spend them all on defense, starting with defensive end, which is definitely at the top of the needs table. Jermaine Johnson, Florida State, came over, transferred a couple years ago, had a really good senior season, and his combine was great, and he's just kept rising up the boards, and I think he's a definite mid-first-round pick. Lots of teams need pass rushing, and there's a lot of good pass rushers in this class. NFL.com compares him to Max Crosby, who's about to get paid by the Raiders. Had a really, really good season. That's a good comparison to have. Overview: ascending edge prospect, Johnson has NFL traits and the potential to keep getting bigger and better as a pro. He is a 1-year full-time starter with an underdeveloped pass rush and occasional lapses in awareness, but both areas should be correctable with more coaching and game experience. He's more instinctive and consistent as a run defender, but his length and relentlessness are excellent building blocks for challenging protection. Johnson's blend of strength and athleticism should make him a firm edge setter and playmaker near the line of scrimmage for odd or even fronts. He has the traits, athleticism, and talent to project as a top 40 pick with a bright future. Top 40 is a little outdated, definite first-round pick right now. Eagles again here. Cornerback is not the biggest need, but Trent McDuffie is the best prospect right here. NFL.com comparison: Jair Alexander, the great cornerback for Green Bay. Overview: 3-year starter whose average size is overshadowed by skillful ruggedness, allowing him to contest throws from a variety of coverages. He's an elite competitor with a route-hugging mentality fueled by body control, foot agility, aggression, and burst. He's a pesky press man defender with the tools to excel in zone. He's willing to fly downhill and hit anybody near the football. He keeps his eyes on the prize and has an itchy, twitchy trigger to close throwing windows and make plays on the ball. He lacks lockdown traits but has lockdown talent, and his competitive energy is contagious. He can play outside or from the slot and carries a very high floor with the potential to become one of the league's top corners at some point during his first contract. Washington is one of the better teams at developing cornerbacks, and they have McDuffie and Kyler Gordon, 2 more first-round guys this year. The Chargers have a talented roster from top to bottom, but of just a few huge holes that killed any playoff chances. On top of that list is defensive tackle. The run defense was just gashed weekly, and it seemed like everybody was setting career highs against them. Luckily, Devontae Wyatt, like his other Georgia defensive lineman, had a tremendous combine. He ran a 4.7 and has worked his way up into the top 20, I believe, especially with not so many great defensive tackles in this class. NFL comparison: Melia Collins. Overview: highly active defensive tackle with decent strength, Wyatt is made for movement and disruptions. He helped himself in 2021 with better tape, both against the run and as a pass rusher. His lateral quickness is useful in beating zone blocks and in sliding across the front in a game-based pass rush. Wyatt has adequate strength, but struggles to withstand a second blocker. The traits are average, but the effort is consistent, and Wyatt should fit nicely as a rotational, gap-seeking, free technique with disruptive flashes. So, might not even be a Pro Bowler, might not even be a full-time 3-down player, but the Chargers are so bad along the defensive line, they need help everywhere they can get it, and he will definitely help. The Saints are in a salary cap. You can't even call it salary cap hell. What's a level below hell? Whatever that is, that's where the Saints are right now. Draft a quarterback here if there's one available and just go through the motions of getting out of that hole that you've dug yourself into. Matt Corral could be the first pick or the first quarterback taken, but I think he settles in at number 3 behind Willis and Kenny Pickett. NFL.com compares him to Baker Mayfield, for better or for worse, I guess. Overview. Small quarterback with a big heart who has learned to play with better maturity and control without losing his edge. Corral played in a quarterback-friendly scheme with well-defined reads, so he needs to prove he can work through full-field progressions and make good decisions with the ball. He's decisive, operating with a quick trigger release to challenge tight windows and possesses a touch to make challenging bucket throws. He's a fiercely competitive runner, but needs to get his slide game up as he's not built to take the pounding from called runs or scrambles. Corral is mobile, but his poise and accuracy wane when forced to move. Discipline has benefited Corral, and he's clearly at his best when operating on schedule and in rhythm. A spread-based scheme and player-friendly head coach gives Corral the best opportunity to live up to his potential and challenge to become the best QB from this draft class. He was actually built a little bigger. I think he was, what does it say here? 6'2", 212, which is over the 6 foot 200 that a lot of people thought he was at. So that could only help. The Eagles, with 3 picks, they could definitely draft the top non-pass rushing linebacker in this class. I think Nakobe Dean has passed Devin Lloyd, who has more production than talent, I think. He's definitely had an amazing career at Utah, but he underwhelmed in the combine like I thought he would, which is why I could never quite put him in the top 10. Dean, on the other hand, he didn't perform during the combine, but he completely aced the non-on-field portion. He's a very smart, great football IQ, good enough size. He's definitely undersized, but yeah, I think he's worked his way into the top middle linebacker, off-ball linebacker, whatever you want to call it in this class. The Eagles, with 3 first-round picks, could go that direction. Comparison, Devin Bush for the Steelers. Overview. Explosive, 3-down linebacker with the demeanor and quickness to become a volume tackler while holding down third-down duties at a high level. Dean's play recognition is a work in progress, which limits reaction time and forces him to deal with more blockers than he'll see as he gains more experience. Quick feet and plus agility will bring him to ball carriers at a high rate, but a lack of size and strength means he'll need to fine-tune his approach as a tackler to make sure he finishes what he starts. He might lack measurables, but he has the toughness and technique to see a boost in his performance once his play becomes more proactive. Yeah, maybe not a Pro Bowler, maybe not an all-world middle linebacker, but definitely productive. Desmond Ridder really helped himself during the combine, ran a 4.5 40-yard dash and had a lot of other good moments, and I think he's worked his way into that, maybe even the quarterback 1 discussion. I can't put him above Malik Willis and probably not even above Kenny Pickett, but I think he's right there with the rest of the guys. The Steelers are going to go after Aaron Rodgers and everybody else they can think of, but might just play it safe and go with a quarterback here. NFL.com compares him to Alex Smith. Overview. 4-year starter and 4-year winner whose hard work at his craft altered his standing from good college quarterback to early round draft pick. There is nothing special about Ridder's size or arm talent, but his improved confidence and field command has really helped him mature at the position. He plays in rhythm and operates with consistently repeatable footwork and mechanics. He's intelligent and processes quickly, which should help him find where the football needs to go regardless of passing scheme. Getting the ball to NFL targets accurately and safely, however, is not a given. Despite favorable mechanics, his accuracy and ball placement need work, and he doesn't have the arm strength or release quickness to consistently survive off-target throws against pro coverage. He can run, but is more of a pocket passer who can win with his legs than a true dual-threat quarterback. Yeah, the Steelers have wanted somebody more accurate than Roethlisberger, which, I mean, you draft a quarterback, you automatically have somebody more accurate. But he's not a scrambler, but I think he's got enough running game, and the coaches there are second to none and could get the best out of him. The Patriots need an actual receiver. They got good production from the tight ends and good production from the running game, but if Mac Jones is going to progress to more than an extreme game manager, they need actual talent on the outside. Treylon Burks had a pretty disappointing combine. He ran a 4.55, but he's a big guy. I wasn't expecting him to blaze a 4.3. So if he can show out during his pro day and he can be more than just one of those Laquan Treadwell stiffs, I think he'll be just fine. NFL.com compares him to A.J. Brown. They basically have the exact same measurables that Brown had coming out of Ole Miss that Burks has right now with Arkansas. So Big, smooth, and natural, Burks possesses the versatility to operate from wherever you want and to get to wherever you need, no matter the competition. He's a mismatch receiver combining size, strength, and competitiveness, similar to the Titans' A.J. Brown, but his speed testing at the NFL Scouting Combine did not meet expectations. Arkansas benefited by putting the ball in his hands from a variety of alignments, and there is no reason to believe NFL play callers won't benefit from doing the same. The tape is extremely exciting with real NFL skills jumping off the screen, but his potential to become a high-volume, 3-level target is a little more cloudy after a relatively disappointing showing at the Combine. So speed kills when you're a receiver, but you can still be, good if you aren't a blazing fast runner. We'll have to see with the Raiders have Hunter Renfrow in the slot and not much else at receiver, which makes the position a pretty easy way to go if there's a guy worth taking here. I got Drake London here, who measured at 6'4", 219. That's a big receiver. He was 210 in USC, so he's packed on a good 10 pounds, and hopefully that's good weight and not just being injured weight. NFL compares him to Ed McCaffrey, the old Broncos receiver. Overview: big, long possession receiver with the ability to play outside or from the slot. London lacks desired top-end speed and separation quickness to open clear throwing windows, but plays a mature, savvy brand of ball. The game slows down for him when the ball comes out. London was a top-flight basketball player, so angles to the ball, body positioning, and high pointing come very naturally to him, turning a 50-50 ball into a 70-30 advantage. While he has the size and skill to dominate the catch phase, his one-speed route running and lack of separation burst means a career full of contested catches. London's pro career would benefit from playing with a diverse receiving corps that allows play callers to play to London's strengths. So even more so than Burks, do you really worry about his speed? But that catch radius is something else. For some reason, everybody acts like the sky is falling in Arizona, even though they had the worst record in the NFL just a few years ago and started this season 8-0. I think they're ahead of schedule. There's a lot of holes everywhere. Kyler Murray's kind of been better than advertised and has disguised a lot of the weaknesses in Arizona. At the top of the list is a very weak secondary. I have Andrew Booth here. NFL compares him to Janoris Jenkins. Overview: a press zone combo corner with good size and length. Booth plays with an urgent, competitive nature. He has the strength, balance, and foot agility to press and slow the release. He has limited starting experience, though. He will need more development to prevent route specialists from manipulating his feet and hips. Booth has the ball tracking and play strength to find and maintain top dog positioning through catch tries. He's more effective in off coverage underneath than tight man. He needs to play more football, but his ball hawking instincts, burst to close, and toughness and run support will be very appealing for zone teams looking for an upgrade at cornerback. So I think he's got cornerback 1 talent. He's as talented as any cornerback in this class. He just lacks experience big time. I've had Boye Mafe hanging around the second and third rounds in my mocks for years because the upside is just tremendous, even as a 23-year-old senior. That combine basically cemented a first-round pick for him. Guys with the athletic profile like him, they just don't fall out of the first round, especially pass rushers. So despite a lack of production all the time, the Cowboys always in need of defense, even after really stepping up their game in 2021. I think it's a really good spot for him. NFL.com compares him to Rashawn Gary. Overview: Mafe's evaluation requires the evaluator to focus more closely on the flashes than just the play-to-play action. His combination of rare explosive measurables with average fundamentals could make for a perfect storm of rapid development once he gets focused skill work at the pro level. His footwork is average and he lacks desired instincts as a rusher, but pairing efficient handwork with twitchy upper body power could turn him into a productive rush bully. He has the traits and toughness to develop into an above-average starter as a 4-3 base end. So yeah, a lump of clay, but something you can definitely turn into gold if you're able to unlock that potential. The Bills need to keep on adding reinforcements to a defense. They might lose Levi Wallace in free agency, Tre'Davious White coming back from an injury, so that makes cornerback a definite need area. Comparison for Kyler Gordon, the second Washington cornerback to go in the first round, Byron Jones. Overview: cornerback who comes with an elite high-performance engine but a GPS still in the process of loading. Gordon's dynamic athletic qualities will show up in testing, but more importantly, they are all over his tape. His bend of play, strength, and explosive burst affects the passing game from press, off-man, and zone coverages. He plays with an alpha demeanor, and hitting is definitely part of his overall package. Gordon lacks polish and needs to play with better route recognition and anticipation, but if those elements click, his ball production could be near the top of the league as one of the top playmakers in the game. Center is not Tennessee's biggest need, but Ben Jones is a free agent. The offensive line has been a weak spot, and Tyler Linderbaum is way too talented to still be available here. He only measured at 6'2", 296, so definitely on the small side as far as offensive linemen go. You're gonna have to weigh that when you decide if you want to spend a first-round pick on this guy. NFL.com compares him to Jason Kelsey. Lofty comparisons there. Overview. Linderbaum has Pro Bowl potential but needs to be matched with a move-based rushing attack. He has the foot quickness and GPS to consistently find top positioning in the first phase of the block. He plays with leverage and body control to sustain and keep the running lane open. However, his size will make block finishing somewhat hit or miss, and he will need help against some of the bigger defenders lining up across from him. Teams with certain size standards might pass on him, but his tenacity and talent make him a can't-miss prospect if matched in the right scheme. So yeah, that scheme is hand it off to Derrick Henry as much as you can and just get out of the way. Tampa Bay will not be returning all 22 starters this year. Most of their teams free agents, especially along the defensive line. I have George Karlaftis here. He's lower here than you probably will see in a lot of mocks. I just really worry about his ability to be a consistent pass rusher. He's definitely strong, definitely powerful, but is he slow? Is he athletic enough? I don't know. But I'm not a scout, and we'll see how it goes. NFL.com does not have a comparison for him, but his overview goes as follows. Edge defender with good power and a relentless motor to keep the heat on offensive counterparts throughout the game. Karlaftis' best production came in 2019 as he missed half of Purdue's 2020 season and saw teams focus more energy towards stopping him in 2021. He's a lift and leverage run defender at the point of attack but fits into a team defender column more than a premium run stopper category. He's a force-based rusher with anchor bursting power and the ability to get his counters when the rush begins to stall. With just 2 full seasons under his belt, there will be more development headed Karlaftis' way. He's a future starter as a strong side defender in an even or odd front. Everything will depend on if Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams comes back with Green Bay, but regardless, I think they definitely need more legit help at wide receiver for whoever's going to be throwing the ball. Chris Olave, for some reason, decided to come back as a senior and was definitely passed by a few players, including his teammate Garrett Wilson. NFL.com compares him to Terry McLaurin. That's a good comparison if you want to be compared to somebody as a quick, small receiver. Overview. The quiet storm of the Ohio State wide receiver corps. Olave is smooth, steady, and makes things happen. His movements are fluid and easy from snap to the catch and all points between. He's fast but efficient and plays with the bend and foot agility to uncover on all 3 levels. Olave possesses natural, well-rounded ball skills but needs to add play strength to ward off the physical challenges that are headed his way. His play traits should allow for success beyond the scheme and talent advantages surrounding him at Ohio State. He is an inside-outside hybrid appealing to offenses looking for a field stretcher with the ability to take on a sizable catch load. So very quick, very small, not strong. That's Olave. Miami's biggest need is definitely offensive linemen, but I don't think you're really finding a difference maker here. So instead of wasting another pick, you can go with the 3rd straight year you take an Alabama Crimson Tide offensive player. So pairing Jamison Williams with Jalen Waddle will give Tua quite a bit to throw to, and guys that he's used to playing with. Williams came off a serious injury, but I don't think it'll really affect him that much. Players can bounce back from that kind of stuff a lot better than they used to be able to. So NFL comparison, Will Fuller, strangely enough, another guy who played for Miami and didn't play. He signed with Miami, I should say. Anyway, moving on. Overview. Linear route runner with electric long speed to impact a game as a home run hitter or decoy, drawing defenders away from other elements of the offense. Williams ruins man coverage but faces some limitations. He has issues getting off press cleanly and might require some scheming to help get off the mark cleanly against certain corners. Catch toughness can be inconsistent when contested or in heavily trafficked areas. He has all the juice to find consistent separation on vertical, over, and post-corner routes, and could see monstrous production if paired with a high-end talent at quarterback. The ACL tear could play a role in determining his ultimate draft destination, but it's unlikely to change his game. So small, very quick, and should bounce back fine from his injury. The Chiefs need secondary help bad. They need cornerbacks, and they definitely need a safety because Daniel Sorensen should never see an NFL field ever again. Dax Hill, listed as safety, but can definitely play cornerback, ran a 4.38 40-yard dash, has the size to be a good cornerback. Basically just a weapon that you can find spots for him until you develop him into a certain position.
No comparison on NFL.com, but they say this about him. Hybrid safety nickel with an outstanding blend of speed, explosiveness, and coverage versatility. Hill is a smooth, twitchy athlete who is unencumbered in his coverage movements. He's rangy playing over the top. He has eyes and bursts to play zone and the oily hips and length to shade bigger slots and man coverage. He can trigger quickly downhill to cut off angles and run support, but his play demeanor is more run and cover than run and hit near the line. Hill has premium athletic traits, enticing coverage talent, and the ability to make plays on the ball from anywhere he is aligned. He's sure to be a coveted target for defenses trapped in pass-happy divisions, which is definitely the case in the AFC West. The Bengals need offensive line help. I think that's pretty much the biggest no-brainer in this draft. I really like Kenyon Green as a guard prospect. He was forced to play tackle this year for Texas A&M, and his tape suffered a little bit, which is why he's fallen from the top half of the first round to probably the second half and maybe into the top of round 2. But I think as far as a pure guard prospect, he's really good. NFL compares him to Richie Incognito. Overview. Guard prospect with NFL-ready frame who plays with an impressive level of consistency as a run blocker. Green moves defenders from point A to point B against their will using hand technique and road-grading leg drive. He possesses adequate foot quickness to operate in a variety of run schemes, but needs to eliminate his tendency to grab when his opponent is slipping away from the block. He has pop and anchor in pass protection, but lacks recognition and mirror technique needed to be at his best against athletic interior rushers. While Green has some areas to improve, his run blocking can be dominant, which gives him a chance to become a good starter very quickly. So probably not the pass blocker that the Bengals need, but I think he's the best offensive line prospect by far right now, and it's not like they don't need help on the interior as well. I think Devin Lloyd will be a good, not great starting linebacker, but the Lions have a lot of picks, and at the very end of the first round, he's good value here. NFL.com compares him to Willie Gay, and this is what they have to say about him. Highly productive and highly physical, Lloyd could create interesting discussions in draft rooms as teams work through his process versus production. Lloyd can be a little inconsistent with early diagnosis and fit recognition and unorthodox in how he flows to the football. With that said, he has a stat sheet full of production in every major category, including 43 tackles for loss over the last 3 seasons. He plays with the willful demeanor of an NFL alpha linebacker and is sneaky talented as a rusher, either blitzing or lining off the edge. Lloyd will make plenty of plays and should become a good starter as an inside or strong side linebacker, but inconsistent process could limit his consistency. So do scouts want production over potential? That's what you got to ask yourself with Lloyd here. But at the very end of the first round, I think it's a good pick for the Lions. That's all I got, guys. Thank you so much. I really hope you enjoyed this, and stay tuned for my last update of the 2022 draft class dropping pretty soon. After that, I'm going to have off-season rosters throughout the off-season, updated every few days and uploaded. And I hope to still work on my 2023 class. We will see how things go. I'm kind of running out of time and running out of juice when it comes to doing these draft classes at the moment. So we will see how that goes. But I hope you enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe. Definitely subscribe. Definitely watch some of these videos if you can, more than a minute or two. That will really help me. And I will talk to you guys next time. Thank you so much.